In today's tutorial, we're going to retouch an editorial portrait here from the awesome guy Les. Anyways, we're going to start doing some skin retouching, then as well some personal touches on fixes and corrections. We're going to do some light control, color grading, and some final adjustments for the end, and a last step, dodge and burn as well. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Okay, so as you guys can see, I've already imported the layer again into my layers palette here. We have it under basic. I just renamed it quickly to basic. And now for the first step that I want to do is just retouch the skin and also give him a little bit of a skin retouching. Now this is not a high-end beauty retouching skin technique where I spent hours on retouching the skin. This is literally just getting that it looks good and that it actually suits the image and that his skin looks kind of nice and clean. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer now, and the first step that I want to do is basically create two duplicates. So I'm going to press Command J once and another time. Okay, turn off the second layer here, and the first layer I'm going to rename this just to blur, okay, and the second high pass, something like that, high pass. You can also rename it to anything you guys like to. Now the first layer, blur, I want to actually just blur the complete skin, so I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to select say around 10% over here. You would also have to select something that kind of suits the image, so don't go like 50 or something, that's just a little bit too much. Maybe around 10 to 15%, that should be fine. So I'm going to select 10% now, okay, and also going to select now the high pass layer, switch that on again, and as well go to Filter, Other, High pass, and as well now going to work as well just with 10% pixels. I'm going to say OK as well, and now we just left with a gray layer with a lot of edges here. Let's go to our blending options. I'm going to switch it to linear light. Okay, so in linear light, as you guys can see, now we have just more sharpness and it looks over sharpened. So what I'm going to do is just take the opacity to 50% and already keep it like that. Let me just select the layers here again. Also select both layers, press Command G, put that in a new group, and I'm going to first of all rename this group just to texture. So basically, why did I do all of this now? I'm still left with pretty much the same. As you guys can see, here's the before and after, before and after. The reason why I did this is because first of all, in the blurring layer, I can just work with my tones and luminosity, and in the high pass layer, just with texture. So they again split now, and I have two different layers. So one will just be the texture and one tones and luminosity. If you guys want to learn more about this, there's also a great DVD from Natalia Taffarel. She teaches a lot about the skin retouching and goes into depth for all the certain settings. So again, let's zoom in a little bit closer here. What I want to do now on the high pass layer is first of all just retouch and clean up texture and the skin a little bit. As you guys can see, we have all these little dots here, so I do want to clean those up a little bit, yeah, and just do a first stage of cleaning up his skin, which you would normally do just with on an empty layer with your healing brush tool. So I'm going to press J for the healing brush tool. Now very important as well, switch your healing brush layer here to current layer, so your options at the top. Current layer, then again healing brush, you want to select the healing brush, not the spot healing brush tool, because you want to sample and source the area and then also go over your destination. For example, if I'm going to retouch this area here now, I'm going to hold Alt, sample this area, and literally just brush over here. And as you guys can see, it works pretty nice already. It's just the texture, so we're not healing any tones at all, so it's literally just texture. Okay, so let's do that as well now. So literally I'm just going to go through the image, also change my brush size really frequently. I'm also working with a Vacuum Continuous 5 Pro tablet, so it's very easy for me to change my brush size really quickly up and down while I do this process. If you don't have that, you can also use your brackets up and down to change your brush size, or go right here to the top and just select your hardness. Or lastly, you can also press Ctrl Alt together, move your mouse left and right, change your brush size over there, and as well your hardness. So my hardness is switched to 0. I'm going to make my brush really small and start with this. Okay, so literally I would now maybe just sit for like 10 minutes and sample just texture and clean up the image overall. Okay, a little bit more. So I'm also going to fast forward this video now a little bit, so you don't need to sit here for half an hour or like 20 minutes and watch me retouch this. So basically what I will do the whole process is just sample again, hold Alt, sample an area, and go through his face and retouch all these little marks and areas. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward the video now a little bit. Okay, I'm also going to zoom out a little bit again, so you guys can just see the before and after as well. So again, here's my before and after, before and after. So literally we just spend a few minutes now retouching just the biggest dots out and also cleaning up the skin a little bit. So normally I would spend even more time on this and also do it a little bit more carefully. I'm obviously doing this a bit quicker now due to the tutorial. Okay, so for my next step that I want to do is also smoothen the transitions a little bit, which will help to make your skin just look very, very smooth, but still in order, keeping all your textures and little pores and all the details on your skin. So as you guys can see, we have a lot of color transitions and also a little bit of a white, black, pixely dot transitions. As you guys can see over here, we've got this little area. Maybe let me just create a new help layer for you guys. I'm going to just press B for the brush and literally just right here, help quickly. Okay, I'm also going to switch the foreground colors to red or something like that. Okay, and that didn't work. Let's do that again. Okay, so literally over here in this red area, you guys can see that we have like a little bit of a white area over here. So literally it's harder if we zoom in a little bit closer. It's lighter over here, then in the center we have this dark spot, and over here we have light again. So this transition, I want to smoothen that out a little bit and do that over the whole skin. Now I'm going to do this today with just one technique and also just one layer. I'm going to do it on the complete face, but normally when you do this, do different settings for different transitions. So this would normally have a different high pass transition and also different high pass value. The same with this one over here, this one over here, and the little ones over here. So maybe create 3 or 4 different high pass values and also different layers, and then you retouch them separately. I will actually do just one today. So let's also delete the help layer again. And the next step that I want to do is basically merge all layers again to one final layer. So Command Alt Shift E, and only start with this process once you are happy with your complete retouching here on the skin. Okay, so as I showed you guys earlier, we showed you guys where the light and dark pixels are. Next step that we're going to do on this layer, we're going to go to Filter, Other, and we're going to go to High Pass. Okay, high pass has loaded, and as you guys can see, we still have a high pass of 10%. Maybe let's move it over here. Now, first of all, what you want to do is select a value that's divided by 3. So for instance, you can work with 9, 18, 27, 36, etc. So what I want to do is start maybe with 20, and then let's go to 27. And already I can see the transition now. So push it all the way, your high pass, push it as far as you have to until you can see the transitions here. So basically now I'm able to see the light areas and the shadow areas. Because obviously if we go all the way down, you'll just see it looks completely the same and you can't literally see it. So start with value 9. It's slowly starting to come. Then as well value 18. Let me just take the 9 away. And with 18, it's also already slowly there, but I want to go a little bit further and choose 27. So again, as I said earlier, try to do different high pass values here. So if you do one for this certain area, one for maybe these areas over here, because obviously for this it's a little bit too hard. Over here it suits the image. So normally if I would do it down here, I would switch it again to 18. Yeah, and just work with 18 down here. We can actually do that also for the tutorial. So let's switch back to 27. I'm going to hit OK, and it's very important that you use these steps with the values, because now we're going to go to Filter and we're going to go to Blur and switch to Gaussian Blur. Now with Gaussian Blur you have to take 1/3 of that number, which is obviously we use 27, so I will use 9. Okay, so 9 for blur over here, and keep those precise numbers as well. I'm going to hit OK, and as you guys can see, we have now a smoothened high pass layer. Now the next step that I want to do is basically just take this layer and invert it with Command I, or you can also go here to Image and then Adjustments and just write Invert over here. And then as well, what I want to do now is just switch it again to Linear Light. So under Blending Options to Linear Light, and there you guys see now we've got kind of an alien skin or alien looking image. What we're going to do now is hide all of it and just paint in certain areas. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to do one high pass layer like this, but do different ones. It will really help you and push your image a little bit further, because often you overdo this technique and then it looks completely fake and overdone. So what I will also do for my stuff now for this retouching, it always depends on the image as well. For today's image, I will most probably take it all the way down just to 40% or maybe even 45%, so it's a little bit smoother here on the skin and also looks a little bit better. For some other beauty images, I sometimes keep it to 80, 60, it always depends on the quality of your image. Okay, so next step that I also want to do is just go to mask here, hold Alt, so we created a hidden mask, and you guys directly can already see the difference here. It pops again, we all see the tones here again and also the transitions. So what I want to do is on the hidden mask, be with the brush, white foreground color, and let's start also with 100% opacity. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, hold Control Alt, I just want to check my hardness, set to 0. And literally now I'm just going to brush again over here and have a look, for instance, here on this transition over here. If we're going to brush a little bit over here, it's slowly fading away. So this you should actually do and sit very carefully and do all these little transitions over here, then maybe over here, fix that, and not like me today, do it over the complete image. So literally a little bit over here. Okay, and then as well down here, maybe switch your transitions and create a new high pass layer just with a value of maybe 18. Okay, so but now for this tutorial, to keep it a little bit shorter, I'm basically going to just draw over this as well. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger and literally go over the complete image here, of his complete face, and also eyes, eyebrows, everything. Also watch out for the edges here, but have a look how smooth his skin already gets. Okay, so the transitions work really nicely. Okay, a little bit more, and I'm just going to do it really roughly now. Over this ear. Okay, a little bit down. Okay, let's have a look if we covered almost everything. Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn all layers on again, go back to this layer, B for the brush, and switch foreground colors, 100% opacity, and literally first of all going to take out his eyes as well. So we just get detail back there as well. I don't want to blur his eyes and also these small little lines, his eyebrows a little bit. Okay, for that I'm actually going to press Command Z, go step back. That will do a little bit differently. Also the eyes over here. A little bigger and make this a little bit smaller. Okay, a little bit in his nostrils. Just a little bit. Okay, also on the lips here. I want to have some nice detail just on the lips back again. Okay, a little bit more. There we go. Okay, now what I want to do is also switch to just 50% opacity, so it's a little bit lighter, and now go over the eyebrows, like one big stroke over here, as well over here, and also bring a little bit more dimension here back into his face, so it doesn't look that flat. Okay, so I just wanted to smooth out the transitions for over here, here a little bit, and here and around his mouth. Over here I still want some nice detail and depth of the image. Okay, as well as eyebrows, he's frowning here. Okay, a little bit more, a little bit under his eyes, and also the nose to let that appear again a little bit darker. Not too much, there we have it again, now it's coming back, these transitions here on the nose. So I'm going to switch back with white foreground color, 100% opacity for my brush, and just brush out these little dots here. Okay, great, that we're going to fix with some dodge and burn and just structure that a little bit again. Okay, so zoom out a little bit more. I'm also want to clean up just the edges here. So again, switch with X, black foreground color, so we're hiding again, and I'm going to choose 80% opacity. I literally just go around the edges here. Okay, also down here a little bit, bringing that depth again back from his cheeks. Okay, that's great. So again, I also did this now super quickly. Take your time when you do this and do different high pass opacity layers here. Okay, as well, I'm going to press Command G and just put this into a new group, and also going to write skin transition, something like that. Okay, great. So we've got now texture and this transition all together. We can take both of these layers, Command G again, and write here skin as well. Okay, great. So now we've got all under a new skin. This is our before and after, before and after. And it looks a little bit overdone already. I've done this also really quickly now, so try to do this a little bit more carefully. I'm going to take the opacity maybe a little bit more lower, 40% before and after, before and after. Okay, so it's also not a super high-end beauty retouching here, so it kind of works for today's image. I'm going to zoom out a little bit again. And as well, I didn't apply this to the hands now. I'm basically, just going to leave it like that. Next step that I want to do is create a new empty layer, and I'm just want to write here fix. And I want to basically just clean up the image a little bit, because here and there I had a few dust marks here. So again, J, healing brush tool, on the current layer please. Switch back foreground colors here just to be safe. Okay, hold Alt. I'm literally just going to clean up the image a little bit. Okay, current layer doesn't work. Switch to all layers, sorry. Alt, and we're sampling again the area from the source point over the destination. Okay, and just going through the image a little bit more. Hold Alt again, and I'm just cleaning up all these little dust marks here. Should take this camera in, it's a little bit too dusty. Okay, as well over here. Then also I had a few things on the background, like this. Retouch that out. Okay, let's zoom down as well. We're going to go all the way down, somewhere over here. Clean this up. Okay, and as you guys can see on the suit here and there, it also looks quite rough. So I'm going to clean up the suit as well right away. Here and there, a few dots on the suit. But I'm not going to work too long on the suit, literally just roughly. I think you guys get the point of how to clean up a suit and how to do this. Okay, a little bit more down here. That looks all great. Okay, now one thing that actually it's a little bit distracting for me, I want to get rid of this little area here from the button here. It looks a little bit weird. So let me just retouch this. Okay, I'm going to zoom out as well, and as you guys can see, it looks kind of weird, the button over there, so somehow I need to get rid of it. So I'm going to zoom a little bit closer, just take the pen tool, and literally going to create just a quick path around here. Again, if you're also not familiar working with the pen tool, I've created a cool tutorial there for you guys, teaching you how to work with the pen tool. So what did I do now? Right click, as well as said make a selection, and zero feathering, so we have just a nice selection with the pen tool. Okay, again back to J, healing brush tool, hold Alt, and I'm literally just going to sample this actually away, but I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. So literally clone stamp tool, Alt again on all layers, and just brush that away. Okay, great. As you guys can see here from the top, all layers. Command D, get out of the selection, zoom out again, and nice. Now it's a little bit out of the way and it looks better. Okay, great. So for the next step that I want to do is also control the light a little bit better. I'm going to go to the marking tool, elliptical marking tool over here, and as well just going to make a huge transition, or just like a selection here, somewhere like that, kind of having like a vignetting on the outside, and on the inside it's a little bit lighter. So again, placing it over here. Now we have to also feather this a little bit more. So I'm going to go to image, actually select. Then we're going to go to modify, and we're going to go to feather. And we're going to feather it now with 250 pixels for the start, and double that actually, because we can't do 500 right away. So I'm going to say OK, 250. And again, we're going to go to select, modify, feather, again another 250. Okay, so now we have a super smooth selection. Okay, I'm going to go to adjustments and also select the curves adjustment layer, and as you guys can see, this clips already to the mask, so we already have a very smooth selection on the mask. Now I'm able to go to the curve over here and just tweak my darks down a little bit and just darken my image completely. But obviously we're darkening now the inside, and the outside is still light, so we need to invert this mask. So I'm going to press Command I and invert that, and directly you'll see that the outside is obviously dark and the inside is bright. So now I can tweak my curve and determine how dark I want the outside to be. So maybe something like this, that will kind of work. And as well, this is obviously personal taste, a lot of playing around. If you want to have it darker, take it darker. If you want to have it lighter, play with this a little bit. Okay, but obviously, as you guys can see, we're getting these weird rings here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it through the screen recorder, but I hate these rings. I always get these rings. So what I normally do on top of that, I just create a noise layer that affects only this mask. So I'm going to go to filter, noise over here, and add noise. And literally 20%, yep, 20% amount under uniform, and that's okay already. So I'm going to just hit OK. and that will only affect now obviously this layer. So as you guys can see, we also got rid of all these rings here, so I don't have these rings anymore in there. I love it. Okay, great. So now I can zoom out again a little bit, and we're ready the first stage now with just cleaning and creating a little bit of light control. So for my next step that I also want to do is just create a little bit of a hue and saturation, and just take the saturation down a little bit. Again, this is also now personal taste, your color grading, all those steps. That's your personal taste and also your feeling that you put into it, and obviously is your screen calibrated and all those other things. Okay, I'm going to go in the hue and saturation. I'm going to go to reds, and as well change the reds down just a little bit, just to make your skin a little bit more unreddish, so it's not that extremely red. Okay, so maybe a -11. I'm happy with that actually so far. Then as well, I'm also going to go to selective color and go to adjustments, selective color over here. Neutral tones, I normally work with my neutral tones and cyan, play a little bit with that, see what that kind of effect gives me. But for the start, I'm actually going to put it to 0 and go right into blacks. And for the blacks, I just want to push the cyans maybe also just a little bit up, +2, somewhere, something like that. Magenta, not really for today. I'm going to keep it to 0 again. Maybe tweak the yellow down, like a +2 as well. Just giving like a nice blue tint. Okay, that's a little bit too far already. Like a -1 before and after, before and after. Okay, great. And as well, let's try the blacks over here. Yeah, it's going to just push it a little bit too far. Keep it to 0 again. I'm going to switch back to neutrals again. Also take the blacks over here. Push them up like a -2. Let's have a look before and after. Okay, I want to check what the yellow will give me. If I push the yellow a little bit down, -2, that's a little bit too much. Yeah, I'm not too happy with that. Okay, so I'm actually going to keep it like that. Maybe one last test here with the magenta cyan slider. +2. Yeah, could have kind of worked for it. Okay, so I'm actually going to leave it like that. So these are basically my settings already, just for the simple color adjustments as well. But I want to apply a last pop to this image. So we're going to go back to adjustments, back to a curves layer again. And let's just take our highlights a little bit up. Okay, and also the darks down a little bit, so a bit more contrast. Not too much. Let's have a look here, before and after. So a bit more of a pop in there. Okay, great. I'm pretty happy with that. If that another pop layer here increased your saturation again, then I would most probably go back to hue and saturation, and just in reds take it again down like 1 or 2. Okay, it's literally like just a very small step. Okay, take all of these layers here, Command G, and I'm just going to write here color for the start, or maybe you can actually write it to color grading. That would be better. Okay, and this is obviously fix and light control. So I'm going to rename this to fix and light control. Okay, great. Then as well, last step that I will do now is just create a new empty layer again. Command A, select everything with a new selection. M4 marking tool, right click, and I'm going to say fill this again with 50% gray. I know you guys most probably hate me now for doing this with gray layers on dodge and burn, but I actually love it and it works pretty good with it. I have more control over it. Okay, press Command D, get out of that step. Also maybe let's rename this to dodge and burn. Okay, and we're going to switch it to soft light. If you want to, also maybe create another group again, dodge and burn. Cool. Okay, on dodge and burn again, what I want to do is just bring a little bit more of his detail back, and yeah, just a bit more dimension out of his face, and yeah, the whole wow. And B for the brush, again 0.7% opacity, so just 7%. I'm going to press Ctrl Alt, just check my featherness here, or my hardness, set to 0, and start with black foreground color. And literally I'm just going to brush a little bit over here and just darken it a little bit again, getting that nice pop, a nice frown back into his face. Okay, also a little bit over here. I'm obviously going over the side now, but I don't care about that. I'm going to fix that a little bit. So a little bit down here. Also on his cheek. Then nice on his lips here. A little bit on nostrils there. And now, as I said earlier, I'm going to switch this actually just to like 2%, and just a little bit over his nose here and under his eyes. Okay, now switch with X foreground colors back to white. Go back to 7, And we're literally just going to pump these highlights a little bit over here. Okay, not too much. Command Z, go a step back. Just a little bit. Also his eyes a little bit. Obviously we didn't work on his eyes at all today. Could have also done that as well. Brighten this up a little bit, then brighten this little highlight over here. Give it a nice pop on his lips. Also on the chin, I just want to do one big dot over here. Another one, smaller one. Okay, great, that's all already. Zoom out again. B for the brush. And I'm literally just going to highlight the suit a little bit. Some edges of the suit. His hands a little bit. And we didn't even work on the hands as well. We should have done that. Or you could have. Okay, also just a little bit down here. I don't want to do it too much. As you guys can see, I'm also changing this brush size really frequently. Okay, B for the brush. Switch again with X. And literally just going to darken this a little bit over here. Also the suit. Yeah, and just pumping that a bit. So you can also spend a bit more time just dodge and burning on the suit. Yeah, because the suit will give it a really nice texture. Also on the hands a little bit here. Over here. Okay, a little bit more on the shirt. Yeah, switch with X again, white foreground color. I'm literally just the tie here. I want to give that a nice pop. Make the brush size really small. Okay, and that's it. Great. So again, zooming out. Again, before and after a little bit more dimension there. If it's too hard, take the opacity maybe just to 80%. One last step that I want to do, switch this back to normal, and I just want to select here with the color picker, the gray color that we actually had. Okay. B for the brush, 00 on the keyboard, so switch back to 100% opacity, and we're just fixing these edges here. So we don't have anything affected over here. And over here. So I don't want to have that on the background. Okay, switch that back to soft light. And we did a huge mistake. I actually took the wrong foreground color for that. So again, switch that back with the brush. So going a few steps back. Now we need to fix all of it. It's because my opacity is switched to 79 and not 100%. So there we go. Okay, now it's switched to 100%. Now we can select the right foreground color over here. Okay, and again the same process, B with brush, and now we're just erasing all of that. There we go. Nice edge, okay, and also this side. Great. Cleaning up, I also still do mistakes now and then, or pretty often. Anyway, so yeah, cleaning all of that up, and also switch that back to soft light, 80%. Great, so again, before and after. Should still clean up this a little bit over here. Okay, but that's now again, all that I'm going to do, Command Alt Shift E, master shortcut, create one final layer, and maybe going to linger this now for 1 or 2 days, going to leave it here and then come back and have a look if I'm happy with the color correction or not, if it's a little bit too dark, whatever. Yeah, okay, so that is basically also all for today's Photoshop tutorial, guys. Do let me know in the comments down below what you think about this, and then as well also give it a try out the different high pass things and try to do some other values for the tones and for the shadow, light and dark parts.